Greetings of the day, students. I am Dr. Alok Tripathi and I will teach you today need of numerical methods and introduction to errors. In this lecture, we'll see why do we need numerical methods, why we are studying numerical methods, and why this is beneficial over the methods which we have already studied in our earlier classes. So in this slide, we shall see what are the prerequisites to study numerical methods. So first one is knowledge of basic arithmetic operations. What are these? These are simple addition, subtraction, multiplication and division of numbers. Second thing which you should know is calculus. In calculus, we have already studied differentiation and integration of functions of one variable and several variables. Next thing, we have to know linear algebra. We have already studied it in our earlier classes. There, we have solved system of linear equations. Next, eigenvalues, eigenvectors, and many other things. The last thing which you should know before studying numerical method is solving differential equations, in which partial and ordinary both type of differential equations should be known. In this slide, I will tell you what are the objectives of this lecture video. Our first objective is to understand the need of numerical methods. Why we are studying this. Next thing, we shall know significant digits. Next thing, rounding of a number. And at last, we shall know about the errors, their types, and how they are inherent in numerical methods. So these four things are our objective of this lecture. In this slide, we shall see what is the need of numerical methods. Numerical methods are extremely powerful problem-solving tools. They are capable of handling large system of equations, non-linearities, and complicated geometries that are not uncommon in engineering practice and that are often impossible to solve analytically. As such, they greatly enhance your problem-solving skills. So first of all, I'll tell you what are analytical methods. Analytical methods are those which we know already. Like, if I say that you have to find the root of the equation x square minus 5x plus 6 equals to 0, then by middle term splitting method, you can easily tell me the root of this equation will be x is equals to 2 and x is equals to 3. But if I say that equation is x square minus 5x plus 6 plus cos x is equals to 0, means I have inserted one transcendental function in the equation, what will happen? Can you solve this by just middle term splitting method? Or suppose I am giving you one equation x to the power 50 minus 40x cube plus 50x square minus 5x plus 6 is equals to 0. So is it possible for you to find the root of this equation? Might possible, anyone may find, but it is not a cup of tea for all. Now, if we are given one system of linear equations in which we have three equations in three unknowns, like 2x plus 3y plus 5z is equals to 4, x minus y plus z is equals to 1, x plus 2y plus 3z is equals to 4. So by using the known techniques of linear algebra, we can easily solve this system of equation and we can find the value of unknowns. These are x, y and z. But what will happen if we have a system of 50 equations in 50 unknowns? Is it possible to apply Gauss elimination or any other method which you have studied so far to solve this problem? I don't think so. So here we need the numerical method. Now I'll move on calculus. Suppose if we are given function x square and I say that integrate this function between the limits 1 to 2, then you can easily find the solution of this problem. But what will happen if you are given some function which is not integrable or very difficult to integrate? Then how you will do this? So numerical methods come into the picture. For any function, for any typical function, you can apply the methods which you will study in this subject. During your careers, you may often have occasion to use commercially available pre-packaged or canned computer programs. But suppose if you want to do something new, so if you know the computer programming, then you can easily make your own version of the program. So if you want to develop some computer program for any problem, then you have to know the basics of the method which you will apply to develop the computer program. Many problems cannot be approached using canned programs. I've already told you that if we want to develop our own program for some problem, then we have to know about the programming and the method which we are going to apply to create our program. Numerical methods are an efficient vehicle for learning to use computers. It is well known that an effective way to learn programming is to actually write computer programs, because numerical methods are for the most part designed for implementation on computers. They are ideal for this purpose. Further, they are especially well suited to illustrate the power and limitation of computers. Suppose we want to divide 10 by the number 3. So what will be our answer? Our answer is 3.33333 and so on. It will not terminate anywhere. But if you will do this in the computer it will show you 3.33333 and it will end somewhere, means it will show you some finite numbers after the decimal place. It means this is the limitation of computer. Now we are starting our main content of this lecture, which is significant digits. So first of all, we shall see the definition of this. The digits which are used to express or represent a number are called significant digits. See the examples. 1.314. We are given a number 1.314. So how many digits we are using here? We are using 4 digits. 1, 3, again 1 and 4. So this means this number has 4 significant digits. Now see the next example. It is 0.0413. This number has 3 significant digits. Why it is so? We are using 0 twice, 4 one time, 1 and 3. So we are using here 5 digits, but we have written here that this number has 3 significant digits. Why it is so? Because when we use 0 here, it is just used to fix the decimal place. It was not used to express the number. That's why this number has only 3 significant digits. In the third case, in the third example, you can see we have a number 4009 and we have shown that it has 4 significant digits. Now why it is so? We have used 4, 9 and 2 times 0. So 0 will be count as a significant digit because it is not used here to place to fix the decimal place. It was used to express the number. That's why in example 3, 0 will be counted as significant, and in example number 2, 0 was not significant. Now see the fourth example. Number is 7.90 and it has 3 significant digits. Why? Because if we write this number as 7.90, it means this 0 is we are using this 0 to express this number, not to use any decimal place. See the next one. It is 4900, means 4900. It has 2 or 3 or 4 significant digits. This is not certain. So it means we have to know some rules to decide how many significant digits are there in a particular number. If digits are non-zero, then there is no issue. Every time they are significant. But the situation is quite complicated when we talk about zeros. In this slide, we shall see the rules to count significant digits in a given number. For first rule, I have already told you, non-zero digits are always significant. But with zeros, situation is quite complicated. So see these rules in which will tell you how zeros becomes significant and when they are insignificant. Zeros placed before other digits are always non-significant. We have already seen this in example number 2. There we have used zeros to just fix the decimal place 0.0 something. So these zeros are non-significant. Next rule, zeros placed between other digits are always significant. Like you have seen in example number 3, we have taken there a number 4009. So you can see two zeros are placed between 4 and 9. Therefore, these zeros will be counted as significant zeros. The next rule is zeros placed after other digits but behind the decimal places are significant. Means in example number 4, we have taken the number 7.90. 0 was placed after 9 and it was behind the decimal. Therefore, it will also be counted as significant digits. So these are 4 rules by which you can count how many significant digits are there in any number. One more rule is remaining. Zeros at the end of a number are significant only if these are behind a decimal point. Otherwise, we cannot tell whether these are significant or not. Like in the last example, we have seen that the number 4900 may have 2, 3 or 4 significant digits. But if we write 4900.00, we are using the same number 4900, but if we write it as 4900.00, then this number will have 6 significant digits. Why? Because 0 is occurring behind the decimal places. So therefore this number has 6 significant digits, while the 4900 only, if it is written, then it may have uncertain significant digits. That may be 2, that may be 3, or that may be 4. Now we move towards another thing, which is a rounding of a number. So with a computer, it is easy to input a vast number of data and perform an immense number of calculations. Sometimes it may be necessary to cut the number with large number of digits. This process of cutting the numbers is called a rounding of numbers. Usually, numbers are rounded off according to the following rules. What are these rules? So first of all, see here, in order to round off a number to n significant digits, drop all the digits to the right of the nth significant digit or replace them by zeros if the zeros are needed as placeholders and if this discarded digit is, now these are the rules, less than 5 in the n plus 1th place. Like suppose we have a number 49.356 and we want to round it off up to 4 significant digits, then 49.526, just count 4 significant digits starting from the left. So this becomes 49, 2 digits, 5 to 6. So 5, 2. These are 4 significant digits. Now in the n plus 1th place, we have to check the n plus 1th place. What is the value of n in this case? The value of n is 4. Therefore, we will check the 5th place of this number. At the 5th place, we are getting 6 here. Okay. Now see the rules. Less than 5 in the n plus 1th place, but in our number, we are having a number greater than 5. We are having 6, which is greater than 5. So if the number at the n plus 1th place is less than 5, then we have to leave the nth digit unchanged. There will be no change in the nth digit. as we wanted to round off 49.526 to 4 significant digits. Therefore, we will leave this time. We shall see that at the fifth place we are having a number which is greater than 5. Therefore, we cannot apply our first rule. We have to apply our second rule, which is greater than 5 in the n plus 1th place. Then increase the nth digit by 1. Since we are having 6 at the fifth place, therefore we will leave 6 and increase 2 by 1 because it is at the fourth place. So number becomes 49.53. Now what will happen if we have 5 in the n plus 1th place? So leave the nth digit unchanged if in the nth place we are having an even number. If in the nth place we are having an even number, then we leave the nth digit unchanged if we have 5 in the n plus 1th place. If in the nth digit we are having an odd number, then we will increase nth digit by 1. These two rules will be applied only if we are having 5 in the n plus 1th place. In this slide, I am giving you some exercise related to rounding off a number. I'll tell you one or two. See the first one. It is 7.893 and we have to round it off to 3 significant digits. So what we shall do? First, we will count 3 significant digits starting from the left. What is it? It is 7, first significant digit, then it is 8, second significant digit, and 9. This is third significant digit. So it is 7.893. These are 7.89. These are my 3 significant digits. Now I will check the n plus 1th place. What is it? It is the fourth place, and at the fourth place we are seeing here it is 3, which is a number less than 5. Therefore, we will leave the third significant digits unchanged since it is a number less than 5. So after rounding off this number to 3 significant digit, we will have 7.89. Now see the next one, the fourth one. It is 86,456. We want to round it off this number to 4 significant digit. So what we will do? We shall start counting from the left. Our first number is 8. It is significant. Second significant digit 6. Next is 4. Next is 5. So these are 4 significant digits. Now see the n plus 1th place, means the fifth place. You will see here we are seeing that we are having 6 at the fifth place, which is a number greater than 5. Therefore, we will increase the fourth significant digit by 1. So this becomes 86,460, and in place of this 6 we'll write 0. When we'll round it off this number becomes 86,460. Now rest all the questions I am leaving you as an exercise. Now in this slide we are moving towards a very important concept of numerical method, which is known as errors. The solutions of mathematical problems are of two types. First one, Analytical. Next is numerical. The analytical solutions can be expressed in closed form, and these solutions are error-free. On the other hand, numerical method is a division of mathematics which solves problems using computational machine and provides approximate values. These machines might be computer, might be calculator, etc. Therefore, one of the most important aspects of numerical methods is the error analysis. Errors may occur at any stage of the process of solving a problem. Suppose we are solving a problem and we get 10 divided by 3. So what will happen? If we shall write this 3.333, we are using this number up to third decimal place, then this number is not actually equal to 10 by 3, and this will produce some kind of error in the calculation. So that is what I was telling. Now see the definition of error. What is error? Error means the difference between true and approximate value. Error means the difference between true and approximate value. So error equals to true value minus approximate value. I was telling you in the previous slide, suppose we are having the number 10 by 3. So we cannot use 3.33333 up to infinity. We have to use this number. If we want to use decimal, then we have to use this number something like this: 3.33 or 3.333, 3.334 times, 3.35 times, 3.36 times. So we shall be using the approximate value of that number 10 by 3. So how can we count the error? Error can be calculated by simply subtracting 3.33 or whatever we are using from 10 by 3. So 10 by 3 minus 3.33, or you are using 3.333, will give you the value of the error for this number. Now in this slide we shall see types of errors. Our first type of error is inherent error. What is this? This type of error is present in the statement of the problem itself before determining its solution. Inherent errors occur due to the simplified assumptions made in the process of mathematical modeling of a problem. It can also arise when the data is obtained from certain physical measurements of the parameters of the proposed problem. Suppose we are given the volume of a cylinder and we are going to use this volume to calculate something else related to the cylinder. Now, what is the volume of a cylinder? The volume of a cylinder is pi r square h. So, if the value of pi, we have used 3.14 to calculate the volume of the cylinder, which is the approximate value of 22 by 7. Therefore, this volume 100% contains some error. Now, if we shall use this volume to calculate something else, then that value will also contain what? Error. This error is called inherent error. We are given something but that was not correct, due to which we have got error in our answer, and this error is called inherent error. Now next type of error is truncation error. These errors occur due to the finite representation of an inherently infinite process. We know that Taylor series expansion of sin x is sin x is equals to x minus x cube upon factorial 3 plus x to the power 5 upon factorial 5 minus x to the power 7 upon factorial 7 and so on. So this is an infinite series expansion. But if we want to calculate sine point 2 by using Taylor series expansion, then we cannot use the infinite terms. 100% we have to use some finite number of terms. But if we use some finite terms, then value of sine point 2 will not be accurate. So we have some error in the value of sine point 2. So that error will be called truncation error. So what is truncation error? Truncation error is just the error which occurs when we use a finite series, finite terms of an infinite series. Next is round off error. You are well aware of it. When we will round off some number 100%, the new number will contain some error. That is called round off error. For example, 1 by 3 is equals to 0.333336 times. But if we use 1 by 3 is equals to 0.33, then rounded off error will be 0.33333 minus 0.33. So this is round off error. Now, next type of error is absolute error. What is this absolute error? It is the upper bound of the deviation of the exact number xt from its approximation xa. That is, we have some exact number and we have its approximation. Okay, so the absolute value of this difference xt minus xa in its mod, this is called absolute error. It may be noted from the rounding off process that if a number is rounded off to m decimal places, the absolute error will be less than or equal to 1 by 2 into 10 to the power minus m. Means the upper bound of absolute error will be 1 upon 2 into 10 to the power minus m. Next type of error is relative error. What is it? Just if you divide the absolute error by the absolute value of the number, then you will get a relative error in that number. So ER, it is represented by ER, and it is equal to EA. What is EA? The absolute value, absolute error. Absolute error divided by the absolute value of the number, then we have our relative error represented by ER. And if this relative error multiplied by 100, then we'll get the percentage error. These three, absolute, relative and percentage error, will be frequently used in our subject. Now see the example in which we shall calculate absolute, relative and percentage error. What is the example? Round off the number 865250 and 37.462352 to 4 significant digits. So first of all, what is the true value for first number? It is 8,65,250, and after rounding off to 4 significant digits, the approximate value of this number is 88,65,200. So what is the formula to get absolute error? Absolute error is the absolute value of difference of true value and approximate value. So what we'll have? We have 50 as absolute error. Now we'll find relative error. What is relative error? Relative error is when absolute error is divided by true value, mod of true value. So we will have here 5.7786 into 10 to the power minus 5. This is our relative error when we have rounded off this number to 4 significant digits. And how can we get the percentage error? Percentage error can be get after multiplying relative error to 100. So we are having here 5.7786 into 10 to the power minus 3. So these three our absolute, relative and percentage error when we have rounded off the number 8,65,250 to 4 significant digits. I am leaving the next number to you as an exercise. And these are our references which I have used to prepare this lecture video. So in this lecture, we have studied need of numerical methods, introduction of error, their types, and some examples related to rounding of a number and errors. That is all for today. Thank you very much for listening me.